The UK now has the highest coronavirus death rate in the world.
Here's a summary of the article.
The UK has recorded the highest coronavirus death rate in the world, according to new analysis, which indicated that Boris Johnson's decision to lock down the country at a relatively late stage of the pandemic may have significantly influenced the number of COVID-19 deaths in the UK. The UK has registered 59,537 more deaths than usual since mid-March, which represents a death rate of 891 people per million. Analysis by the Financial Times found that the figures mean the UK has a higher rate of death at this time of year for any country for which reliable data is available. That means the total number of deaths in the UK is the second highest in the world, behind only the US, where the death toll passed 100,000 on Thursday. The UK's excess death rate is the highest in the world when adjusted for population, ahead of the US, Sweden, or Italy. The FT also found that countries which imposed lockdowns earlier to slow the spread of the virus generally had a significantly lower death rate than countries which didn't. Of the 19 countries analyzed, those such as Norway, Denmark, and Chile, which all imposed national lockdown measures when they had recorded relatively few coronavirus cases, all have a low excess death rate. Countries which imposed lockdowns when COVID-19 infections had already spread significantly throughout the population, including the US, the UK, Spain, and Italy, all had significantly higher death rates.
This post received a score of 7,200, with an upvote ratio of 95%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
I feel like they're going to shortly be surpassed by Brazil, which has been increasing rapidly and is under a very destabilizing government who does not even recognize willfully the danger.
Yeah, deaths in Manaus and Rio de Janeiro in particular seem to be extremely underreported. A sad and infuriating long-read article about life in Manaus during the virus, if anyone is interested.
They're burning down the rainforest and planting crosses instead.
Zach de la Rocha, is that you?
Some of those that join forces are the same that burn forests. HUUUH.
Among countries that publish number on excess deaths, that is. For one, I would love to know what is the excess mortality in Iran.
It's pretty obvious to anyone who has a functional brain and thinks about it for a second. All the second and third world countries don't have the healthcare or testing resources to get a handle on the actual numbers. And I doubt their death reporting, COVID or otherwise, is very accurate. And then you have countries like Russia and China that just flat out lie in an attempt to look better on the world stage.
Interesting thing about the third world countries is that most have very young populations. So the death rate might be lower because of it, even despite the terrible medical care. Also, places like Africa have trained doctors used to fighting viral epidemics, e.g. Ebola, AIDS, etc.
Also, countries with mandatory BCG vaccines are all around showing better mortality stats. They also happen to be second and third world countries.
Killer respiratory virus plus aging population equals big bad.
Plus obesity. I know this isn't the place to have this conversation, but I'll ask anyway. Why has America been dubbed the fat nation? I mean, we're fat in general, for sure, when the UK seems like they're right there with us in terms of horrible food intake and generally not caring about nutrition.
I don't think it's just the amount of overweight people. I think it might be how overweight people are. Other countries have overweight people and extremely obese people too, but the US has many more extremely obese people.
Isn't the UK right behind the US though? I don't think the gap is as wide as people make it out to be.
No gap between those thighs.
I don't understand the whole rate per capita doesn't matter, total deaths do argument. I understand that neither is a perfect measure, but it doesn't make sense to compare raw deaths from a pool of 10 to a pool of 300 greater than rate per capita doesn't matter, total deaths do argument. For the media, it's 1. Pick your target. 2. Find the number that makes them look the worst.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.